Alrighty dighty. I guess we will roll through this. And you asked me about the length of it. I have some suggestions, and unfortunately, I don't have a yes, no, do this, don't do that answer. Of course, got to complicate things a little bit, but we'll get to that when we get to that. All right. Formatting, the way it looks, go like that. Go like that. If you can do this on Google Docs. What I did is I copied from Google Docs and put it in Microsoft Word because, one, it's easier for me to edit, and two, there's no two. All right, there, boom. You see, it just got smaller. I'll undo it and I'll redo it. Whoop, hey, my bad. Okay, there it is. So that just collapses yet an extra line in there. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's the first thing I noticed when I looked. Okay. I like the questions that you're asking here, which makes me wonder. In your writing, you want to think about the effect you are having on the reader. Consider this. This is not necessarily right or wrong. This is just fine as it is. But my other question for you is, what if we just started with that? Because imagine a reader doesn't. The title says abortion, but I think just starting off with the questions immediately grabs your reader into it, right? Because your reader is going to be answering those questions in their head, and they're invited to take part in your paper in a way. But if you do this, abortion is a controversial topic. That almost sounds like an apology. Like, I'm sorry, I know this topic, we're sick of it, and this is so charged, and so it almost sounds apologetic to me to start off with that. Like, hey, I'm going to talk about abortion, all right? I am one reader with one opinion, and I'm not necessarily always right, just most of the time. Okay, should be. So there's been a huge ongoing debate for many years about whether abortion should be legal or illegal, right? They're not arguing over whether it is currently legal or illegal. Well, in a way they kind of are, yeah. The question has always been with Roe versus Wade, even before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, is people were asking, should this be legal? And they still are now, and there's obviously the fighting. Okay, stances. I go pretty heavy on that first paragraph. Okay, there are two sides to this debate, the pro-life and the pro-choice. So I'll read that again. There are two sides to this debate, the pro-life and the pro-choice. We just need the word stances. Stances, because that's what they are, a pro-life stance and a pro-choice stance. So you can say pro-life and pro-choice stances. There are two sides to this debate, and since you were going to list, even though there's only 2 items on the list, you still got to go like that. Put a colon in there. All humans. Okay. Pro-life is about the value, inequality, and do your little error correct there, like that, of all human things. How about just all humans? I know what you just thought. You just thought beings. If you want to write the word beings there, you can put the word beings there. I think it's redundant. It's not like what other thing is there? We're human beings. We're not human lettuce, right? Anyway, I don't think this fits yet. Okay, pro-choice is where people believe it's their right to have the ability to choose abortion as an option for unplanned pregnancy. Ultimately, everyone has the right to do what they want with their body, my choice. So my question is, who's saying that? Is that you saying? This is a popular chant, obviously. Is that you saying that? It's unclear. If that's not you saying that, well, I think it still needs something before it, like something like, as the common phrase often heard, my body, my choice. Something introducing, because it feels like it's just tagged on there at the end. So maybe, what they want to do with their bodies. They often cry out, my body, my choice, or I don't know if you're speaking on part of yourself. In fact, let's just talk about the argument for a second. At times I feel like I can't grasp exactly your angle, where you're coming from, and it sort of seems like your conclusion is people are going to do it regardless. They're going to do it whether they want to or not. Then you've got down near the end. In the end, people are either going to do it, be against. Is that your stance? Like, are you supposed to take a stance in this? Because if this paper is supposed to have a stance, it's been a week since I read the directions. Then you're going to want to make that more explicit. You're going to want your stance to be in the spotlight more. That's what explicit means. You want to bring that to the forefront. Okay. And I don't think people are going to do whatever they want to do. Then you can say that about anything. You're not really arguing. That's sort of like dipping out of the argument. If you have some kind of claim behind that, people are going to do whatever they want to do, which has been unhelpful previously. So perhaps we need to change, I don't know, our knowledge base of abortion and from both sides. I don't know, just like need something more than people are going to do what they're going to do. Like a solution in there, perhaps. All right. That's why I underline that, so we don't have to worry about that. This is pretty much goes along with every citation you have. According to the article, blah, 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 it states, if there is a person tied to this if there's an actual author listed, use the author's name. Okay. I wrote a book. Yep, 10 years ago. That's a long time for a writer. I haven't had a book in 10 years. That's like basically like career over. Boo-hoo. If there was a college that in Michigan that assigned my book in their class, it was awesome. And a student sent me, I don't even know who the student was. I just got a random essay. It was the student's essay on my book. And I was like, hey, that's cool. Somebody wrote But the student didn't use my name at all. This is like, it says on page 36, I'm like, I'm not it. I'm not it. You just say Don Peteroy says. So yeah, just as a sign of respect and just thoroughness, have the name. Now this one looks like it probably doesn't have a name to that article, so I'm not speaking specifically about this quote. Understanding Women. Let's look. I don't see it. I don't see it. There it is. Okay. Yeah. So we want to have, according to, instead of it states, you could say Antonia Biggs states. Right? So just take the it out and put in the author's name. The first time you use the author's name, you use the first name and the last name. Then after that, you just use the last name. So if you talk about Biggs again, then you will just say Biggs. Okay. Second thing is that for each... you got me lost. See? You got me lost. For each citation that you use, for each quote, you got to have the thing at the end. I'm losing my mind here. Oh, the citation. So that would look like... whoops. Yeah, it would look like that, and then you'd have, if this is Biggs, if that's even, I don't remember now if that's the person's name. What was it? Biggs? Was it Biggs something? I don't know. You'd have the author's last name. If there's a page number, you'd have the page number. So if it was 6, you'd have 6, and then you'd close. All right, but you're doing that mid-sentence. Oh, no, you had also. So also. All right, so every time you have a quote, you got to have that. If there's no author listed and there's just a page number, then just a page number. What if you don't have both? What if there isn't an author and there isn't a page listed? I think just as long as you state the name of the article in the paragraph, then you're fine. Actually, that's the rule, yeah. Okay. So long versus short, is it too long? Is it too short? I think it needs to actually be tightened up a little bit and then maybe expanded. So ways you can tighten this up when you read it over to yourself again, you can say things like, women have abortions for many different reasons aside from those listed above. Right? And that frees up, because we already got this list. Right? Here are some of them. And a woman named, so we can just get rid of a woman named. We can say Erica Glodblot Hyatt shares her story about her son. So I'll read the whole thing one more time. In the article, women have abortions for many reasons aside from rape and incest. Here are some of them. Erica Glodblot shares her story about. Okay. And here you would have the citation because you're quoting. Even and when you paraphrase, you're going to want that too. So it would be author's last name and page number, and the period goes on the outside. So whatever you're writing there, and then boom. Or Hyatt, whatever. Yeah, Hyatt wanted to speak out. All right, so, just clarify Hyatt there if that's what you're talking about. No, Hyatt? What? Erica Global. Yeah, Hyatt wanted to speak. So you'd use the last name at that point. Comma. After pregnancy. People of pro-life. I felt like I ran into that kind of phrasing of it more than enough times. So maybe we could find other ways to approach that, like pro-life advocates or supporters of pro-life. Just change it up throughout the essay. DECISION. So you're missing an I there. Okay. Could give everybody a different perspective on how they view certain things. So certain things, it's a little vague on how they view women's rights. I mean, just be a little bit more specific. Or the sanctity of life, whatever. First, due to the lack of reliable contraception and proper sex education, there are two main factors that lead to unwanted pregnancy. All right. So this isn't an incomplete sentence. Read it out loud slowly to yourself. I'm going to read it again. First, due to the lack of reliable contraception and proper sex education are the two main factors. So due to the are the main factors. That doesn't quite make sense. What if you do first, the lack of reliable contraception and proper sex education are two main factors that lead to unwanted pregnancy. Yeah, maybe just getting rid of the due to the lack. See how it sounds to your ear. Always go with what your intuition's telling you and not the 46-year-old guy. Yeah. All right. Comma after pro-life. Thirdly, the Declaration of Independence states that everyone has the right to life and getting an abortion is your decision. Can you quote that part of the? It's like right, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think you're gonna, if you want to forge abortion into that, if you want to map abortion onto the rights to life and liberty and pursuit of happiness, you're gonna have to forge a stronger connection. You're gonna have to spend a little more time describing what they describe and breaking that down for your reader. Oh, okay, big thing. So you've made a choice here to list the entire, all the items, and that's a lot. So that's where I'm saying making your paper shorter. Maybe. Here's how you can justify. Here, I can't. Not sure if I can see justify conveying the entire list. Here's how you can justify doing it. Break them down into paragraphs and talk about each of them. The argument behind. So, take two the. Let's do. Secondly, most women have decided that they are pro-life when it is described as. Have decided that they are pro-life, even when it is described as anti-women. So that could have its own paragraph if you want, and you can expand on that. So go with, if you grab another source that talks about that. Has there been a bump up in? Have there been more women that are pro-life now than there was 10 years ago? What's the current state of feminism? Right, so I don't think just giving a paraphrase of the whole article is enough. I want to see you jumping in there with showing the ways this can be argued, interacting with each point. All right, now if you do that, points 1 through 7 or 10 or whatever, now you've got a 10-page paper, and we don't want that. So going in there and just picking a couple of them, right? Maybe third, fifth, sixth, pick a couple of them and focus on them in their own paragraphs a little bit. So, cutting and making it longer, do we need that? Well, I ask that only because I ask that when I am certain that something is being mentioned that we'll never come back to again and doesn't really move things forward. So being very critical of yourself and asking, all right, does this line really contributing or is it filler, then you can cut a bit that way. So we got the it states in the article key on abortion. Let's go look. It states key of abortion. Yeah, all right. So we're not going to say it, but we're not given an, as far as that's telling me, we're not given an author. So a way you can do where I lost. No, here it is. Okay, clarifies. So in hold on, I gotta pause because I have to think. I mean, the article key facts on abortion clarifies. So that's one way you could do it. Just start the sentence. The article key facts on abortion clarifies, comma, and that can get rid of the it. But also have your citation in there if there's anything that you can put in the citation. Otherwise, don't worry about it because you were mentioning, at least mentioning the article there. Okay. Others are totally against. Just totally against is a little bit casual language there. Others are strong opponents of abortion, something like that. Being fancy. That takes a lot of practice, by the way. I recognize it's not that easy, and that you probably can't throw words out of your mind at the speed that I do because this is not your life. So don't get down on yourself either. Many people claim. Ooh, how many? I always ask that. We got an it, and this human life has to be respected. So we got a quote, and if there's an author and all that, you know the deal. All right. Even people's, what did I do here? I don't know why that's highlighted. Even people's strong religious beliefs cause them to feel this way about abortion. In the end, people are either going to do it, and I highlighted that again because I'm not sure if that really settles anything or moves us into taking a stance. Okay, so for a bunch of reasons, again, that's a little casual. This is the tired part of the paper where you got tired, and that's okay because that's what happens. A bunch of reasons that are driven. Seek abortion. Women's circumstances in life often lead them to seek abortion. There's just so many ways we can do this. Okay, and lastly, what you want to do is you got those extra spaces again. So like highlight the whole page there. Do that, and you'll see it'll collapse. I know it makes the paper look shorter, and I know I told you to break things up into paragraphs to make it longer and cut things. I know. But you're doing the deal. This looks all right. I'm just interested in that this doesn't have a author listed. Yeah. So that makes sense that those don't. Right. And yeah, when you mention CNN, if you're going to quote them, you'd quote the author's name. I mean, you mention that CNN, keep it in there, what you've got there. But if in your further revisions and all that, if you draw back to that, just do some name dropping. This one looks weird. I don't know what's up with that. That's like half APA, half MLA. Yeah, you might have to go look at the paper, the PDF, and see how their names are. We need first name, last name. If that's not offered, if it doesn't have that, then it doesn't have it, and there's nothing you can do about that. But otherwise, all right, cool. If you have any other, is that a phone number? Weird. I'm not gonna call it.